这个月all the way 玩伴，在录吗？我在录了。OK， 好，拜拜。拜拜。
ใช้3 เลนขวาเพื่อเลี้ยวขวา
In April 2015, after nearly 12 years of excavations, archaeologist Sergio Gomez and his team make another shocking discovery. Directly underneath the center of the pyramid, they have located a vast pool of liquid mercury.
What makes this so interesting is that the mercury cannot exist in its native form in nature. There is a natural mineralic material called cinnabar, and in order to get mercury, you have to extract it out of the cinnabar, which requires a complex process involving high temperatures.
It's a highly toxic element. It is difficult to extract. So the logistics behind this are incredible. How was it transported there? Where did it come from? And for what purpose? Also, how did our ancestors handle liquid mercury without them dying out? Interestingly enough, the only other site that features liquid mercury is in China, inside the tomb of the first emperor. How come there is liquid mercury in a tomb in China, and now they've discovered liquid mercury in Teotihuacan? One has to ask the question, what was it used for? Liquid mercury is a superconductor, and in our modern technological age, this class of elements is being used in revolutionary applications such as free energy generation, advanced medical imaging, and cutting-edge transportation projects. But why would there be vast amounts of mercury found under a nearly 2,000-year-old pyramid? Could it have served a technological purpose? May 2013. Just 2 years prior to the astounding discovery of liquid mercury at Teotihuacan, archaeologist Sergio Gomez and his team made another curious find. Hundreds of gold-colored metallic spheres scattered in the same tunnel beneath the temple of the feathered serpent. The spheres ranged in diameter from just 1 inch up to 5 inches.
There were hundreds of them. On the exterior, they were burned pyrite. And on the interior, they're mostly clay. In fact, the entire chamber seems to have flecks of this golden pyrite or fool's gold all over it. I've never seen anything like it. I do not know what these things are, what their meaning is. To my knowledge, we've never found a chamber like that anywhere in Mesoamerica. Certainly nowhere in Teotihuacan. It's an sheets of mica. The first reports of them were supposedly that Leopold Batres had found these large sheets of mica on top of the Temple of the Sun.
Since that first discovery, entire chambers lined with mica have allegedly been found at different locations along the Avenue of the Dead, but the areas are now off limits to visitors.
Ever since the late 1990s, the Mexican government has since sealed off this portion of the site. So under these metal doors, you would be able to access this mica. Here, as you can see, there are a number of channels that run just underneath the floor of this channel. All these drainage channels were likely used to carry water towards the mica chamber itself. It is highly suggestive that this room might have had a technological use, which required a very intense heat.
In the 1970s, author and researcher Eric von Daniken got a first-hand look into one of these mica chambers.
I was brought there by a local archaeologist who loved my books and is that he can show me a mystery. And there is a room, and the room has a ceiling and has of course 4 walls. And in the 4 walls you see mica. This mica is put in artificially. It's like an insulation. First you have stone, then you have a level of mica, about 10 centimeters, and then again stone. From this chamber where the mica is, there is a hole, and the hole is insulated with mica. And I have been told that the hole goes inside the Great Pyramid, the Pyramid of the Sun in Teotihuacan. That will be the next discovery.
Today, mica is used as a heat shield in electronic and aerospace industries. It has the unique properties of being a good conductor of electricity as well as an insulator of heat, since it is able to resist temperatures upwards of 1800 degrees Fahrenheit. We use mica today with high technology. So one has to wonder, why is there a mica chamber at Teotihuacan? It's very brittle, but it's incredibly heat resistant. Why was there any need for mica in the first place?
There seems to be a correlation between mica, liquid mercury, and these orbs or spheres that all seem to point to some high technology usage. What did they know? How did they know it? Is anybody's guess. But it just sounds like they needed these materials for something, and they used them. We have to wonder, when we're looking at technology, we see components of it that don't make sense just for a primitive culture. The pyramids and various components could have been part of a sophisticated system of technology.
Ancient astronaut theorists propose that the Mercury, mica, and gold-colored spheres may be somehow connected and serve as components of a larger device. They suggest that further evidence can be found at the site by examining the remnants of an ancient explosion. Teotihuacan. Along the Avenue of the Dead, multiple structures show evidence of a catastrophic fire that consumed portions of the temple complex. The damage has been attributed to an uprising at the end of the 6th century, just before the population entirely vanished without a trace.
This structure in particular, in spite of the many modern restoration, still shows evidence of the devastating fire that consumed the city. The pattern of destruction seems to be mostly concentrated around areas along the Avenue of the Dead and around the main pyramid.
According to archaeologist Leopoldo Batres, who surveyed the site in the late 19th century, the damage seemed too extensive to be be attributed to simple torch flames, leading researchers to explore alternative explanations.
Many explanations included the possibility that the ancient inhabitants of Teotihuacan were harnessing energy. This caused a sudden energy release that resulted in this devastating fire.
Could the curious finds of mica and mercury at the site help corroborate the theory that the burn marks we see along the Avenue of the Dead are from some sort of mechanical explosion? Ancient astronaut theorists say yes, and they suggest that like the Great Pyramid at Giza and other sites throughout the globe, the structures at Teotihuacan may have once served as an electromagnetic power plant.
Researchers propose that the pyramids constructed around the world are, in fact, power plants. This is based on our new knowledge that they, in fact, are designed to tap the resonant power of the Earth and then to distribute it around the world. Teotihuacan matches precisely this model. It's built over caverns. It had liquid mercury and mica incorporated into its design, and we know that the gods came and left from this place. So when we put all the pieces together, we're looking at Teotihuacan as yet another example of the power plants of the gods.
If there was a technological system that was generating a lot of energy at some point, there could have been a malfunction there. There was energy. The mica found at the site was supposed to shield it, and mercury was also found at the site. Seems to have been used. Perhaps we had some kind of accident there at some point in time.
If Teotihuacan served as an ancient power plant, generating electromagnetic energy, just what role did the liquid mercury recently discovered at the site play in such a scenario?
There are stories of mercury being used in spacecraft. And some of the ancient Indian epics talk about mercury as part of the Vimanas and the mechanics of these craft. So here we have the idea that this mercury that's being found at archaeological sites is really part of the propulsion of some of the craft that the extraterrestrials were using here on Earth.
Los Angeles, California. February 2017. Physicist James Lincoln has been experimenting with superconductors like mercury and the levitation effects produced in the presence of strong electromagnetic fields, such as those suspected of being generated by the ancient pyramid power plants. Author and researcher David Wilcock visited his laboratory to see how electromagnetism creates an environment that allows mercury to levitate.
Nice to meet you.
Yes.
The demonstration will utilize a conventional superconductor material in place of mercury due to its toxicity.
What am I about to see here?
Now, one of the signatures of a superconductor is that once it reaches its critical temperature, as being it's cold enough, it will actually levitate over a magnetic field.
That is unbelievable.
We can actually make it go around the track. This is the signature behavior of any superconductor in the presence of a magnetic field. It generates electricity flowing in loops inside of the superconductor. That's why it floats.
Wow.
There's not really an upper limit to how fast this thing can go.
So there's a flow of current in the disk as it's going?
Yes. Once these electric currents are generated, it's free and permanent and can last as long as you can keep it cold.
Wow. Very, very cool. So if you had mercury here and got it really, really cold, that this same type of effect would occur, or would we notice anything different?
We would be able to get the same effect if we managed to get this cold enough.
Okay.
Mercury is also a superconductor. In fact, it was the first superconductor ever discovered.
Okay.
And this one can be anywhere, any orientation, whether I put it on forward or backwards, or even upside down. It still works.
place, zipping along on its own. That is truly remarkable. This to me looks like a flying saucer.
It does look a lot like a flying saucer. In fact, you can get it to avoid obstacles like you would want from any hovering technology. So here I'm placing some little debris on the track, and let's see if it can get over this pile of sticks.
Sure.
No trouble.
No resistance.
Yeah, so now you can imagine it flying over forests if it was larger, and if you manage to have enough magnetism on the surface for that to happen.
Unbelievable. If this technology could be scaled up, could we have something that potentially people could be able to ride in as they craft?
Yeah, if you keep the superconductor cold, well, you imagine it has to have a chamber of liquid nitrogen. Right. And you have enough magnetism over a surface, then there's no upper limit to how big this can be.
So if there was some way to make this a self-contained, continuously cooling unit, theoretically at least, would it be able to keep doing what it's doing right now indefinitely?
Well, yes. It will last as long as it stays cold. People have had superconductors lasting for years already with currents flowing in them. And there's a lot of places that are cold enough that that would work. For example, outer space.
Right. We're seeing a very intriguing connection here. Teotihuacan may be a location in which exotic technology was used